The movie begins with Heather and her two best friends, Connie and Amy. They're rushing through the station, barely managing to catch the train that will take them to Barcelona. They settle into their seats, excited for their girls' trip across Europe. Their plan is strictly scheduled, moving from one city to the next on a specific path. While on the train, Amy notices a handsome guy sitting nearby. She immediately gets up, leaves Heather and Connie behind, and goes to chat him up. Suddenly, another passenger enters the carriage. To everyone's surprise, he climbs up onto the overhead luggage racks to take a nap. Later that night, this mysterious guy looks down at Heather. He tells her he can't sleep because the luggage rack is incredibly uncomfortable. He asks why she's still awake, and Heather explains she's thinking about a novel she was reading. They exchange some flirtatious banter. He introduces himself as Jack from New Zealand. He wishes her a good night and tries to go back to sleep. The next day, the train arrives in Barcelona. Jack is with them as they exit the station. He learns that the girls are planning to party at a specific nightclub that evening. He agrees to meet them there, says goodbye, and walks away. Heather and her friends spend the day sightseeing around the beautiful city. At night, they head to the club. Jack arrives, bringing his friend, Rafe. Connie immediately hits it off with Rafe and goes to dance with him. Meanwhile, Amy spots Victor, the guy she flirted with on the train, and runs off to dance with him, leaving Heather alone with Jack. The music is loud and annoying, so Jack suggests they get out of there. They leave the club and sit down to talk and get to know each other. Heather asks Jack if he has a job. Jack admits he's currently unemployed, but has worked a bunch of random odd jobs. Heather tells him she studied at university and after graduating moved to New York to work as a bank accountant. Jack points out that they are total opposites. Heather loves planning and commitment, while he loves improvisation and chaos. He thinks this difference might actually be the reason they could click. Heather is clearly charmed by his spontaneity. Later, we see Heather walking and talking with Connie, while Jack and Rafe trailed behind them. Connie admits she really likes Rafe and is going to spend the night with him. She says goodbye and leaves. Jack and Heather take a walk discussing their shared love for novels and literature. Suddenly, Jack stops. He points to a cable car station. He grabs her hand, they break through the door, and sneak up the stairs to one of the cars. High above the city, they look out at the stunning view. Jack opens up to her. He reveals that his grandfather wrote a journal and left it to him before he died. Jack is on this trip specifically to visit every location mentioned in the diary. It's his route. Heather thinks this is incredibly sweet, honoring his grandfather's memory by visiting his past haunts. They share a romantic moment and kiss. The next morning, they wake up in the cable car as it starts moving. A worker spots them and starts yelling. They rush out, escaping the angry workers. Back at the hotel, Amy calls them completely hysterical. She reveals that Victor, the guy from the train, robbed her. When she woke up, her passport and all her money were gone. The girls want to go to the embassy to report it, but Jack has a better idea. He asks Amy to show him Victor's apartment. They arrive at Victor's place. Through the door, Victor denies stealing anything. But when they threaten to call the police, he gets nervous. He says he'll go inside and look for her stuff. Before he can close the door, Jack kicks it open. They storm the apartment. Victor scrambles out the window and escapes. Amy finds her belongings, but they also find a pile of extra cash. Jack figures the money is definitely stolen anyway, so they decide they should keep it as compensation. Feeling victorious, they leave together. They use the stolen cash to rent a convertible and drive along the coast, eventually reaching a seaside village. Heather asks them to stop for a group photo. However, Jack weirdly steps away and refuses to be in the picture. He clearly hates being photographed. They move on, walking by the sea, renting a boat, and going diving. Later, Amy announces she's going to continue her tour of Europe alone. She met another guy in a different city and is confident she won't get scammed this time. She says goodbye. Connie leaves in a taxi with Rafe. Jack asks Heather to come with him to the next location in his grandfather's journal. She agrees. When they arrive at the next spot, Jack sees a group of tourists taking selfies. He gets annoyed, calling them hypocrites who aren't living in the moment and only care about appearances. Heather doesn't understand why he's so angry. Jack calls people who do that superficial. Heather takes this personally since she takes photos too. She tells him he's too judgmental and walks away upset. Jack chases after her. He apologizes, saying he didn't mean it. He reminds her that her flight home is in an hour and they shouldn't part ways while fighting. Heather forgives him. Jack drives her to the airport, but at the drop-off, he asks her not to go. He tries to convince her to change her plans and extend her vacation with him. Heather hesitates, but eventually agrees. They continue to the next location in the diary. Over the next day, Jack shares more of his philosophy on life. They sleep together at the hotel, deepening their relationship. The next day, they attend a Running of the Bulls festival. Suddenly, Jack decides to jump in and run with the locals. It's dangerous. A bull hits him and he falls hard. He's rushed to the hospital with an injured arm. Heather calls him reckless, but Jack doesn't care. He decides nothing will stop him from finishing his journey. Days pass, they travel from place to place, following the grandfather's diary with zero planning. Heather talks to Connie and Amy on the phone, telling them she's having the time of her life. Connie asks what happens when the trip ends. Heather admits she doesn't know, but she plans to ask Jack about the future of their relationship. Later, on a bus, Heather is asleep. Jack gets a phone call. He moves to a different seat to answer it. It's his doctor. The doctor says he needs to come in for another scan and sets an appointment. He agrees. We don't know why he needs a scan, but when he returns to sit next to Heather, he looks visibly worried. At a restaurant, Heather is looking through the grandfather's journal. She finds a folded piece of paper tucked inside the cover that Jack hadn't noticed. Jack reads it. It describes an island called Santa Pau. The note says the island hosts a dance festival every year where the dance is meant to face death. Neither of them knows if this festival exists still. Heather keeps the paper in her bag. While walking, Heather asks Jack if he plans to write a book about his experiences. Jack says no. He doesn't like thinking about the future. Heather decides it's time to get serious. She tells him he needs to think about what comes next. Jack argues that this is just how he wants to live, in the moment with no future plans. Heather admits she feels lost without a plan. She demands to know where their relationship is going. Jack refuses to give her a straight answer, avoiding the topic completely. They get into a fight and stop talking. However, the next night, Jack surprises her. He tells her he's decided to move to New York with her. Heather is thrilled. It's exactly what she wanted. The next day, they head to the airport to fly to New York together. Suddenly, Jack gets another call. The doctor tells him he needs to come to the clinic immediately because his final test results are in. Jack looks terrified. He tells her he needs to go to the bathroom and promises to be back before boarding. He leaves her there. Time passes. He doesn't come back. She texts him, but he doesn't reply. The passengers start boarding. She runs to the bathroom to check on him, but he's not there. She hears the final boarding call. She calls him, but he ignores it. She pleads with the airline staff, explaining she can't find her boyfriend. The staff tells her she has to board now or she'll miss the flight. Reluctantly, Heather gets on the plane, hoping to find him inside. But his seat is empty. Just then, she gets a text from Jack. "I'm sorry." Heather realizes he has abandoned her. She breaks down in tears. Back in New York, Heather reunites with Connie and Amy. She tells them what Jack did. Amy calls him a scumbag who scammed her. Connie agrees, telling her to forget him because he's not worth her time. Days later, Heather visits her family in Texas. She talks to her dad about the trip. He tells her she always felt safe having a plan, but traveling with Jack without a map gave her a completely different feeling. She felt free. Her dad tells her that feeling is freedom. He warns her that while it's fun at first, it doesn't last long. He just wants her to make decisions that bring her peace. Later, Connie texts Heather. Rafe proposed. They're getting married soon. Heather replies that she is happy for them and will definitely be at the wedding. Time jumps to the wedding. Connie and Rafe get married. During the reception, Heather dances with Rafe. She can't help herself. She asks if Jack ever reached out to him. Rafe looks at her sadly. He realizes she needs closure. He takes her to a quiet room and hands her a letter. He explains that Jack left it with him with instructions to give it to her months later. Heather opens the letter. In it, Jack explains the agonizing decision he made at the airport. He writes that it hurt him watching her looking for him. He reveals the truth. He has a malignant tumor. He was hiding it from her the whole time. He says the time he spent with her was the best of his life, but he realized he was just running from the truth. His death is inevitable, and he doesn't have much time left. Because he had no future, he refused to think about it. He tells her that their shared memories were the map that helped him find himself before the end. After reading the letter, Heather remembers the loose piece of paper from the journal. She digs through her bag and finds it. It reads, Santa Pau. She checks a map and locates the island. She knows that's where Jack went. She tells her friends she has to go. Heather travels all the way to the remote island. And true enough, the dance festival is happening. She wanders through the crowd hoping to see him. Suddenly, she spots him. Jack looks at her in total shock. She walks up to him. He asks how she found him. She tells her she remembered his grandfather's diary, and she just had to have hope. Jack warns her again. He cannot offer her a future. Heather looks him in the eye and says she doesn't want to think about anything other than this exact moment with him. She tells him she loves him. Jack smiles and tells her he loves her too. They embrace and kiss in the middle of the festival, surrounded by the dancers, finally facing the end together.